Hey everyone, Wanderbot here, and I'm back with another interview, this time with my good buddy Retromation. So Rito, are you a socks, shoes, sandals, slippers, or barefoot kind of guy? We're just gonna dive right into that one.
Okay. Are we talking... Well, here's the thing. Are we talking indoors or outdoors? That changes everything.
Yeah, kinda.
Outdoors barefoot.
Outdoors barefoot, really?
No. Barefoot 24/7 if I can, but if I'm going somewhere, I'm gonna wear socks and shoes.
Okay.
But inside barefoot.
Okay, so your order of business is step outside of the house, socks and shoes are on. Do you are you like much of a sandals guy or like a flip flops or like nah? Those don't even register.
I have one pair of shoes. I cycle between one pair of shoes that I buy from the thrift store that I wear until they are unusable, and then I buy another pair of shoes from the thrift store.
Wow.
24/7.
That is all right. That's an interesting Rito lore. I like it.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, I've got big clown feet, so I can't do that. I destroy myself unless I have like the perfect shoes.
I'm like a 11 and a half or something.
Yeah.
10 and a half, 11 and a half. I don't remember. It's been like 5 months since I went to get my shoes.
I don't have long feet. They're just wide. One's quadruple E and the other is like quintuple E. And boy, finding shoes that can accommodate that level of wideness is not easy.
Yeah. No, I've got wide feet too. When I buy the shoes from the thrift store, they rarely feel good for a while. I make them work because I just widen the shoes out with my feet.
Fair enough. I spend too much time hiking for that. It just destroys me. Anyway, so now that we've learned that actually really interesting tidbit, how you doing?
Oh boy, it's one of those weeks where it's actually fine, and I am afraid to say that. Like, I'm known for having cursed weeks, months, years. This week, the only thing that's like a problem is I'm behind on work, and that's like infinitely true anyways. So
yeah,
that's fine.
Oh, absolutely,
that's a gimme.
Yeah, I don't think you can be a content creator and not be behind on work. Every once in a while, I'll have like a week where I have my entire week backlogged out, and I'm like, how did this happen? When did this happen? And then it just never happens again.
It also is a problem that I don't consider myself to be caught up on work unless I'm ahead on work.
Yeah.
I'm twisted in that way. Because my whole, we'll get into it later, but
we might as well.
My whole week
Good segue.
sets up my weekly schedule. Like I take every Sunday off. Like basically, I guess I can get into the question of my weekly schedule. Like because it really helps explain why I'm always behind. Because Monday through Saturday, I do like. Those are my work days. Sunday, I take completely off. Like, often I'll even just be hard to catch, like, on Discord or something, unless there's, like, wholesome verse stuff that needs to be done. But otherwise, no go. But, like, I the whole time, during the week, the weekdays, I'm setting up to get that extra one day, which shouldn't be hard.
Oh, absolutely.
It shouldn't be hard, but it always is, like,
oh yeah.
Just, I feel like sometimes it's difficult to even get yourself set up for, like something simple. Like whenever I feel like I have a little extra time, I'm like, oh good, I can do this fun thing I want to do. I'm not like, oh, let's get ahead. Let's get ahead, AKA catch up on work. But as far as, I don't know. I don't know how we do this format. You've done this more than I have. Like,
I mean,
do you want to say what the questions are? Instead of me just answering a theoretical question.
A theoretical question that was on the list that's like 5 down. Honestly, I just kind of like rolling from topic to topic, especially if it's natural. So I guess we might as well roll back to the actual question of for your schedule, because I think this is actually one of the most burning questions for me, just because, for me, time management is heck. And I always love seeing kind of the curtain pull back for other content creators. And like, how many hours do you actually like work on your channel per week? And how much of it is like on camera? And how much is behind the scenes? Because I know you take Sunday totally off, which is super respectable. And I kind of wish I could do that.
Oh, shoot. Sorry. 1 second. Huge thing. I
Okay.
I don't know why. I I went in and I flipped the mute when I went to check. So I
Oh,
muted
it's
myself and only had you.
it's fine. I'll just use you for the beginning because I'm recording you, no problem.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah. So okay. For the question of how many hours, that's such a good
I mean, it's better than what I did with
technician.
Ben Star. I straight
That's
up
so good.
started Ben Star with my microphone unplugged.
Yeah. What? Okay. So, how many hours do I work per week? I spend 30 hours troubleshooting. No.
It feels like that
Honestly,
sometimes.
it really does. Oh my god. Like because I plan a certain amount of hours and then like one little problem happens that if someone like told me they had this problem, I'd be like, "Oh, that's a 30-minute fix." But it's like, how did I make that take 3 hours to fix? What's happening? Cuz it's like 2 hours to fix it, 1 hour to cool off from all the anxiety.
Yep.
But no, it's like I probably work like 60 to 70 hours a week, but like a lot of it is just like worrying about things and checking on things and reading comments, stuff like that, Discord, all that. And it depends, like, I don't know, it depends what you consider work too. Because
Yeah.
probably only half of that is on camera stuff, like 30, 35. It depends too. Like that's the ideal. That's what I want to do. Well, what I want to do is more, but yeah, probably like 30, 35 on camera, and the rest is just like, you know, searching for games. It takes a lot of time, like finding ones that actually look promising. What can I even like? What am I gonna go for? Because I don't know if I'll get keys. I have to try and get keys. I can't afford to check out new indie games every single day if I'm paying for them. It just
Yeah.
doesn't
Oh yeah.
work. I'd be making no money. It couldn't be a job for sure. So like fielding keys / looking for games that like I'm confident enough in that they'll do okay, that they'll at least make the money back on the key. Like
Yeah.
that kind of stuff takes a good chunk of time, and then setting videos, doing all that, comments, just Discord stuff. That ends up, it just adds up so much on top of the fact that like I will just check my phone like at night and stuff when I'm not supposed to. And I would consider that certainly work because it's definitely not relaxing.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah,
I definitely
like
do
70.
that. Like the round right before bed, checking for porn bots usually. Because there was like a period of time at the beginning of the year there was just like nothing but
Yes.
very clearly uncensored imagery, and I'm just like, oh god. And it was just getting right past the YouTube spam filter. I'm just like, why don't they fix this faster? And so that's just set me on a spiral for months.
Was that the time where they were using the emojis, or is that the new time where it's just they say one word like spectacle and then they put a link? Like
So I've been hit by those for, I mean, those have never stopped. But no, there was a period of time where it was like the profile picture was just uncensored.
Oh yeah. No, yeah, that I'm so glad that that's not currently happening.
I'm so glad it's gone.
Yeah, because the other ones, it's like, most people know not to click a random link that makes no sense in a comment section. But the other one, it's like if it's a young viewer or something, the damage is done immediately.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Like you've been got, and maybe you'll get got more.
That happened to me when I was a kid. My I don't know about you, but growing up like in the N64 era, I would often look up like cheat codes, big head mode, moon gravity. And so my friends tricked me into going to a not safe for work site called cheat.com, thinking it was video game cheats, and it was not.
Well, yeah.
And that has just stuck with me for years.
It's a good get. Terrible that they did it, but that's a clever get.
It is a clever get, and I have no idea if they meant it or not, because we were in 3rd grade.
Yeah. I think they knew. I think
probably.
they knew. In 3rd grade, that's the exact time where 3rd grade through what? It depends for some people, like, I don't know, college. But for a lot of people, 3rd grade, that seems like the kind of thing you'd do and then grow out of it. But they get them.
So I'm gonna segue us back a little bit from that topic. Just because
Why?
that is a
I have
dark
so
hole.
much to say.
I think those are questions I do not want answers for.
I don't know.
So I guess speaking of taking like Sundays completely off, and I know you have like a somewhat hard cutoff time of like 7 p.m. every night. What do you do during your free time? I know you play board games.
Yeah.
Obviously you got Grace to spend time with, but like what is the relaxy time for you?
Yeah, just on Sunday or just like all my...
In general, I mean, it could be anything. Because I know you got a lake, which I am super jealous of.
Yes. I love my lake. Because I have two chunks of relaxing time every day, and then Sunday is just relax the whole time. But yeah, in the morning I'll wake up and I'll like walk around, or at least as much of the lake as I can. There's a path that goes like halfway around. Like I get like a caffeinated tea or something like that. I listen to podcasts and I go on a walk around the lake there. And then if there's stuff I need to get at a store, I'll keep the party rolling all the way to Target, still listening to my podcasts, talking to nobody. It's great to be in a grocery store with noise canceling headphones on, let me tell you.
Yep.
And then I'll come back and maybe I don't know if I'd consider it relaxing time still or not, because there's like a business reason for it. I'll play maybe like 30 minutes to an hour game to warm up. I think I've talked about that before.
Yeah.
Because I try to like de-rust myself before I start recording to get yelled at less. So I'll play something that'll wake my brain up. Usually a strategic game usually, but sometimes just like a brutal thing like Cuphead speed runs. That was the ultimate de-ruster in the morning, like going for speed runs of Cuphead. But as far as like relaxing at night, that's like 6 o'clock, hard cutoff, except Wednesdays, where I'll go to 7 for the Wholesomeverse Live. Like that day is an exception. Every other day, it's a hard cutoff at 6, where I do not work anymore. I come out of my office. I'll either I'll make dinner or Grace will make dinner. We'll eat it, watch something, maybe go on a walk, come back, and then play either like a Nintendo game or a simple we're playing right now we're playing Life is Strange, the new one that came out. And then I don't know. Yeah, we'll just do that, go on a walk, relax until we go to bed. So 6 o'clock to sleep. Pretty much no work. I'll do like a little bit of maintenance stuff right before bed, but that's about it.
Okay.
And then Sunday is wild card. It could be anything. Like we might go on a trip. We might do basically nothing. Like an extended version of what we do every night, maybe. Who knows? It depends.
Okay. I mostly ask because, for the first 6.5 years of my channel, I had no days off. You know, the only time I take time off is if I was traveling and had no internet. And then otherwise it was just like, nope, stream every day, record every day, prep every day. It was kind of nice because, I was never behind on work necessarily, but boy, that is not conducive to like long-time mental health. And so I'm always curious how people manage to relax. For me, I just sit around being like, but what about work? And I'm like, no, gotta stop that.
It used to be worse for me. I used to do that a lot more. That like our day off day has not been around forever. It's been around as long as I've been full-time on YouTube / Twitch.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit longer than that too. Like it's been around, but yeah, no, I used to not have any days off too. And it was basically just, when do we get time off? And it's like, I don't know, when we think of something fun to do with it. Yeah. And that just means that it barely ever happens, because that takes work to plan what you want to do.
Oh, absolutely.
That stresses me out more than even just like working more. So
I'm planning, I think, 3 different potential vacations, and it's like, oh yeah, now I have to look at listings and reviews and then see, what kind of COVID safety kind of things they have. So I'm looking at cabins in remote areas. I figure like that's the safest thing it can possibly do. And I'm looking forward to it, but I was also very afraid that my state was going to catch fire, and so I was like, well, I'm going to just put those off until it's not on fire. I think it's not on fire, so I can finally go.
Yeah, that's something we're doing too. We're like into something, and it's the same thing. It's like the plan is like a cabin, because also it works like Grace's job. She works from home too. She has an online business. We both entirely work from home, so a cabin vacation is kind of like the most vacation from the kind of stuff we do. You know, like go there, the internet
completely
sucks,
disconnect.
You know,
you
kind of have to disconnect, or if you have to do work, it's torturous because like the internet's so slow, so you don't really even want to do it. So, which is I think a good thing.
Yeah,
but hard to bring myself to. It's always hard to bring myself to stockpile footage for those days off, where it's like, how many days before the vacation am I going to ruin so that I can have a good day off? It's like sometimes it's very counterproductive, which is tough.
It almost feels like you have to work twice, well, more than twice as much, because you're not just recording for the week that you're gone, you're trying to jam that into days that you're already recording for the week. So, if you already work 70 hours, that extra 20, 30 is just like recording zombie.
Not possible, really.
Yeah.
It gets to the point where it's like I'm recording way late. Like I just I've trained myself so much because that hard cutoff time at 6:00 that if I am recording past that, like I just don't know what to do. Like I don't know what to do. Sometimes there's weird videos that go out that I had to record really late, and it's got a different vibe, and you can definitely tell that was like. People usually say like, "Is he drunk?" on those videos, like, "Is he drunk?" And then, but usually that's followed up with, "You should do more videos when you're drunk." So, but no, I'm tired. I'm tired, and I'm out of my rhythm.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I do a series like way late at night, and I kind of like the late at night vibe where I'm just like, I am zonked, but the game isn't hard. But that's like a super rare thing.
If you have the right game, like I did a one-off video on Dwarf Romantic, and I was like, oh, I hope this pops off, because then I can record this at like 10 p.m. and it'd be the perfect vibe. It'd be the perfect vibe. But
that game is
gotta monetize my 10 p.m. It's so good, so chill. Yeah. I'm into it. Only thing that beats it is Power Washing Simulator for Zen mode. Gosh,
I want to put together a list like that. Games that are specifically maximum Zen. I am on the topic of free time and working. My response to working less on the main channel is to work more on everything else. So I've spent, I think, every ounce of free time I've had this week neglecting some other side things that I should be doing to 3D model, because that's been really fun. I haven't learned a whole lot of new skills since starting the channel. Obviously there's been editing and YouTube stuff, but like most of the learning I did for my channel was done like very much in the first couple of years, and everything after that has just been like, oh, I need to do this weird editing trick and nothing more. And so learning 3D modeling, it's like, holy shit, my first model looked garbo, my second looked actually kind of decent, my third looks great, I can't wait to make a fourth.
Yeah, I used to do that kind of thing where I'd just be like, what new skill can I mess around with today? Like, a lot more than I do now. But now it's very much just, oh, I have this problem. What new thing do I have to learn to fix this thing? Or like, I want to do this slightly different thing in Photoshop to, but even that, like, all that's happening a lot less. That used to be something that I would do all the time. Like, it's like why I'm doing, like, my channel started as, let's learn a new skill, kind of, like, let's mess around and combine some of these things. But so, I even did 3D modeling too.
Ooh.
I'm not good at it.
Fair enough. Let's see. So speaking of, or you can finish.
No. I think I have a feeling it'll be related to what you ask.
Okay, so I was gonna, we've had a couple of segues that we've just blown past, but what is the weirdest, like, janky thing you've done to keep your channel going?
Oh,
Because you were talking about, like, tech support problems, and for me, it was, like, years ago, I was doing a series on Disgaea, and the audio would desync every, like, 3 seconds, and so I spent the entire series painstakingly resyncing the audio over and over and over again.
I did that for like a year.
Really?
Yeah. I had that problem for like a year, and I didn't have the it was something to do with, I think, just, I don't know, the program I was using in the microphone. There's just some kind of mismatch. I didn't have the money to get a different microphone or anything, so it's just like I slowly got sloppier with it. There's some of my old videos that the audio just like, especially because I was batch recording it, like episode 1, because I was only doing like 15-minute episodes or something at the time. That's changed, but yeah, like it would start, it'd be fine, but near the end of the series, like as I was getting lazier with resyncing up the audio, yeah, it would be pretty off. I've had that too. It sucks. But I mean, as far as other jank things, like, I mean, well, I would pick up and move my computer, like, to drive 20 minutes, 30 minutes to record every single day. Well, like, I didn't have internet. That was like,
oh, right, when you just moved
year.
into your current house?
Yeah, like that. Like we went like 3 months.
I had just assumed
internet.
you'd left your computer there, but yeah, that makes a lot more sense that you'd have to pick up and move it. I would.
Yeah.
I don't know if my computer would survive that.
Yeah, it was the kind of thing where I would leave it there for some days, and then I would bring it back. Kind of like my computer had a work week. It had a work week over there, and then I would bring it back on certain days and stuff. But yeah, no, that's definitely, that's a jank thing. I've done that multiple times. I mean, like, I've been doing this for 10 years, so I have so many jank things that I've done. Like, I always joke that everything that you can't see on my YouTube or Twitch channel, everything that's behind the scenes that you don't have access to, is an absolute mess and has been in shambles for 10 years straight.
Yep.
Like, absolute shambles.
Do you have a hard drive with like thumbnails and like half-finished projects that is just an absolute mess and you just don't go into it unless you have to?
I have, oh yeah. I mean, I've got all my thumbnails on my PC. I got my hard drive full of my videos, but the real nightmare is I have a drawer filled with mini notebooks for all of the different ideas I want to do. And I probably have like 15 or 20 mini notebooks. Wow. And the furthest in of the pages any of them go is like 4 or 5 pages.
Yeah, like, that's where I'm at. You talk about that, and I have
thing.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5 notebooks on hand, plus 2 tabs on Chrome with just notes. And yeah, I only get maybe a couple pages in, and then I'm like, oh, but I need a new notebook for this new type of idea. So I got one for D&D and one for MMOs of all things. One is a bullet journal for my schedule, which has actually been an absolute godsend.
Yeah, that's what they should be. I feel like the bullet journal, that's a very valuable, like, that's one thing I did that for a little bit. I need to get back to that, but
it's worth it.
Just don't
Every once in a while I fall off, and I know that, like, the moment I fall off, my stress and my anxiety just spikes, because it's just like, oh, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing today. What do I do?
Yeah. I figured out on the fly. I literally, like, for the past 2-3 years, like pretty much since I've gone full time, it helps and hurts. I record everything for tomorrow. Like, that's my work. That's my schedule. I don't ever have a backlog. Everything that I've been recording for 2 years is literally for tomorrow, unless it's on Saturday, then I'm recording for Sunday and Monday. Like, that's it. So I literally am waiting. Sometimes I'm waiting to see how a video performs at noon to figure out what I record at like 12:30, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, let's see how the stats on that one go, and I'll just determine if that one's canceled for tomorrow.
Yeah.
You know? Like, that's how I run
it.
And it helps to flex with the stats, but it also hurts because I'm looking at the stats. So
I can see that being like kind of a blessing and a curse, because that way you're only putting out bangers, but you're also losing a lot of time waiting for those numbers. I definitely have that for Inscription today, where I was just like, oh man, this is really good. And like the initial hour is just like no comments and a bunch of dislikes. I'm like, well, this is, never mind then. That dream is out the window.
Yeah, I mean, I'm the very exact same thing. Like, right before this, I was sitting waiting, looking at looking at my video for that game too, because I'm like, well, what am I going to do a Halloween? Like, that's the thing, is I always want to do a seasonal type thing. So I'm like,
yeah,
I need an idea for a Halloween series to run. So I'm like, this better do well. And it's
exactly.
like
it's also a really
last
good
in the
game.
Let's Try series. But what was that?
It's also like a really good game.
It's great. It's really good. It's super unique. It's like the deck builder genre is, there's no surprise. It is oversaturated, and it does not feel like any deck builder I've ever played at all, because it's obviously trying to be so much more. And like even the hints in the trailers that they have for what's coming up is just, it's not only does it seem like it's going to be not like any deck builder I've ever played, it just seems like not like any other game that I've ever played. Like the closest stuff is what, like Pony Island, the from the same guy.
Yeah, exactly. I'm trying to think. Are there any other games that really do that? No, not really. I don't know. It's like it's compelling.
It is just. I mean, not that this is a video game podcast. That's next month's project. But we'll move on, because I don't want to just talk. I could talk about Inscription for an hour. I only played it for an hour, but I could talk about it for 3.
Yeah.
So no, we can move.
We can move on. I've been wanting to talk to somebody about that game because it was such a weird, fun experience last night.
We'll both start a new mini journal, and then we'll get back to
it. Yeah. or contemplate recycling an old one, but you'd have to either get rid of the old pages somehow, and that just feels like a sin. I
had that happen. Like right in front of me on my desk, I have probably one of my longer running notebooks. That one got to that's the 5-pager, and I needed scratch paper, and this was the one that was supposed to be for whenever I started doing video essays, and it has all my notes that I took while playing the what is it? The reimagining of Prey, the most recent, the Arcane's Prey. Yeah, like I had a bunch of notes that I took while playing that, and I ripped them all out. Yeah, just just notes for what I would talk about in a video about it. Like I was just practicing. That was at a time where I was trying to practice being more intentional with what I like about games, because that's something I try to. It's so easy to find what's bad about games. It's so easy, and everybody's doing it, whether they want to or not. So that was at a time where I was really practicing, like, besides just saying, I really like this, it's really figuring out why. And that's what those notes were kind of about. And with the prospect that I would maybe, use that kind of mentality to do video essays. That never happened. I have 10 thumbnails for potential videos that I would maybe do, but I have no videos. So I ripped out those pages. It's true. And it's just like, no, I'll get to that when I catch up.
Yep.
Which, as we mentioned, doesn't happen. But I don't know where we were. Tangents, whatever. Yeah.
So you mentioned the deck builders are incredibly, like, the genre is super bloated. Might as well segue into that one of, so deck builders are super bloated. Before that, it was like, honestly, League of Legends style games were super, MOBAs, there we go. I just couldn't word. What do you think is the next genre that's going to get obscenely bloated?
Next one's going to get bloated.
Yeah, in the same way that deck builders, where one of the games is truly going to pop off and then everybody's going to dogpile in. Because, like, I'm thinking auto battlers, but I'm not sure if it's going to have the same effect because it's too broad.
Yeah, that's the thing is, in a niche perspective, I do think it is, like, in a more niche pop-off way, I do think in the roguelike field, auto battlers are the next thing because everything else is kind of already being done. In a more broad sense, I think that we're going to see more games that are going for the we'll call it Rito bait, just like combining weird trope or weird genres together and then also making it a roguelike. I think we're going to see a lot more of those. I do. But honestly, I don't know. I think that roguelikes aren't, they haven't even really popped off, but I think that with them making it into AAA, I think with Returnal, I think with Hades being on Game of the Years and stuff, I think that we're going to see roguelikes become even more bloated than they already are, if that's we think they're bloated because we pay a lot of attention to them. Like, just wait until now people who are inspired by Hades have had enough dev time to make their games, just wait. We're screwed, man.
Yeah. I'm thinking about that actually, now that you're talking about it. Who's the first AAA company to make like the first full-on AAA roguelike? Like,
that's really the thing is, it's hard to say Returnal, because it never whatever the answer is it's a game that was not marketed as a roguelike. Like that, I'm confident about that 100%. Whatever the first games, whatever it was, it'll be hard to think of because it was, there's no way it was marketed that way.
Yeah.
Like, no AAA would ever label a game that way. It's even with Returnal, you kind of had to dig to figure out that it was a roguelike. They didn't want to market it that way because it's like, if it's AAA, a AAA audience doesn't really know what a roguelike is. They're just like, oh, is that like a Dark Souls? It's the answer is kinda.
Gosh.
Kinda, but there's that, and then like even Deathloop has trace roguelike elements, right?
Kind of, yeah. It's like if you had a roguelike that had not no permadeath, but no procedural generation. It's just enough width that you can play through multiple runs, and it's different.
Even that, just thinking like, what are the three like big releases on PlayStation 5 right now? There's Returnal, definitely a roguelike, Deathloop, trace roguelike elements, and then like Ratchet and Clank. Total not roguelike, but so it's like, I think that's telling that it's going to become even more bloated. Like, people playing with roguelikes in narrative elements, I think is really what Hades is going to infect the future with. Using that, like a roguelike where the character is aware of the fact that they're in a time loop. Get ready. Like, it's 24/7.
I am super down with that. That is by and far one of my favorite genres to just dabble in.
Yeah. Hades is a masterpiece. I'll play 10 of them.
Yeah. As long as they've got the like solid characters and voice acting, I think if somebody had had a really grating voice in Hades, I would have just slowly disconnected from it.
Yeah, it's true. The voice acting is great. I could pinpoint every aspect of Hades is a slapper, and there's like two things I don't like, and it does those well.
Speaking of, I guess I got two of those. Speaking of random factoid I learned like just the other day. Did you know that Darren Korb was the voice actor for Zagreus?
This sounds
composer?
familiar. Yes.
They just got the musician effectively to voice the main character. That blows my mind to some degree because he sounded so good that I just assumed he was a professional.
But it like, I don't know. I wonder that probably helped too.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, he knows the tone better than most. Like, to have the voice actor be the lead composer. I mean, again, I could talk for 6 hours about Hades, but like, again, we'll put it in the notebook. Hades is incredibly impressive for many reasons. It's one of the only roguelikes that I've gotten I've gotten a comment section that has people going, this game is overrated. Like, it's a game that got so popular that there's anti-bandwagoners. That's a roguelike. It doesn't happen. That doesn't happen. So
I'm going to use that to segue into a further whole question mark of, speaking of voice acting, I was just randomly Googling your name, and 4 years ago you made a voice acting profile on a website that I've never heard of, but that's pretty recent. What was your kind of inspiration for that? Just like, why not? Maybe I'd be good at it.
It was Did it not have the things on there?
I'm not seeing
doesn't
much.
matter. Yeah, okay. I don't think that they ever made it public. I quite literally, I auditioned for multiple games. I was gonna be, and I was in talks. I was almost the voice of a character for Lethal League Blaze.
Oh,
yeah, but
that's cool.
But that didn't happen. Probably because for a couple reasons, but one, I was not experienced. Two, my mic setup wasn't as good then. So, and I'm sure much more. There's probably just somebody that was better, or there was. I know.
Yeah.
I've heard the voice of the character. But
it kind of in the similar vein, the dwarf people needed a trailer for the. Oh gosh,
yeah,
it was one of the festivals.
I've seen the trailer.
Yeah, they'd reached out to me to ask me to voice the entire thing, and then just kind of on a whim, I got Shell to do like a rendition of her own, and they just used that one.
Yeah. I remember I watched it. It was good. It was really good.
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't even want to get into voice acting. I'd love to. It would be really cool, but it's just as far as jobbies that I could potentially invest into, that one's slightly lower on my list.
I would love to guest voice act. I would love to voice act in a sense where they're like, let's put his voice in this like as a niche cameo that's not a big role or anything, and it's just like in some roguelike, some small roguelike. There are a couple that like there are talks of there's one I might be doing, but I just who knows.
It would be great to be the guest Wilhelm Scream alternative.
Oh my god. Do you see that Edmund McMillan from Eugenics is looking for guests to literally sit down and record their human voice doing meows for randomly generated cats?
Wow.
So like something akin to that. Something like that.
Yeah. That'd be fun.
I'd be into that. But yeah, no, that is something I wanted to do, because I've wanted to do literally everything. This podcast thing could be you saying, "Did you ever want to do this?" And the answer would be, yes. Here's a story. Here's a story about the year that I cared about that.
It's fair. Okay, so let's go back kind of to the beginning. How did you stick with YouTube then? Because I assume you're like me, where it's just like every potential kind of hobby job fusion is tempting, and it's like, yeah, I could maybe do that with enough work. How did YouTube remain the one that you stuck with and actually, I would say, succeeded at this point?
I would say so, because I don't work at my terrible jobs anymore, so I would call that a success. Well, I don't. It's interesting because we started around the same time, wasn't it? Like, are we like a few months off of each other for starting?
I started in the fall of 2013. I've been going for a little over exactly 8 years. So I think you started before me.
Okay. Yeah, I started February 2012.
Yeah.
Around the motives for doing it and everything have changed obviously drastically since. Around then, it was just kind of like okay, I'm coming clean. My channel started as a League of Legends channel, okay? The Band-Aid's ripped off. But it started as a League of Legends channel for probably a couple months, like a month or two, which in the grand scheme is less than 1% of time. But there were videos going around of people just having fun with their friends in League of Legends, and I watched them, and like that was a time where I was playing a lot of League of Legends in Discord calls with my friends that I thought were funny. I thought that I could do a good job too, and I was just like, let's learn this skill. All I need is a screen recording software, and I think I could do a better job than those people, or at least as good of a job. So I did that, and I stuck with it. And there was like one showcase video type thing I did for that like popped off on Reddit. Basically, I think it got like 50,000 views, and it was like my 5th video. And then every other video, and then I deluded myself. I was like, oh, these people are here for me. But they were there to learn news about an upcoming character for League of Legends. Hecarim, for those who care. But I deluded myself, and I'm so happy about that delusion, because I would say that that's why I kept doing it. Is I had that video with 50,000 views, and I'm like, okay, I bet that I can convert. Like, I was not deluding myself enough to think that many people were watching, but I was like, I think I can get maybe 1% of those people to watch something else, eventually. So that helped keep me going, and then I was uploading, League of Legends and then Minecraft for 12 videos or something like that. But yeah, I think just like really intermittent successes helped keep it going. In addition to the fact that I genuinely loved it and every job that I could think of sucked. I had no interest in any career path. I went to college with no plan. I did terrible because I hated it. It sucked. I didn't know what I wanted to do. It just cemented more that what I wanted to do was keep going with this, because I just didn't see anything else making me happy, which was it's a difficult thing to feel about something that is so heavily tied to randomness and stats.
Yes.
That I can't, that I genuinely couldn't see myself being happy anymore with any other job. I would wake up feeling sick, going to work. I would genuinely my sick to my stomach, deep pains whenever I would wake up for work every single day. Wow. There were multiple days where I just didn't want to go so bad that I threw up. Genuinely. It was that bad. And just feeling like if I couldn't find a path, that was forever, that sucked. And just looking at stats and graphs and be like, oh, it's down these months. Yep. I feel even more sick. And coupled with the fact that whenever there's a fluke and I would get a few days off, because I was working 40 hours, on top of doing my channel. So whenever there was a fluke and I would get a couple days off, I'd be like, all right, let's work extra. And then I get to see that working extra makes my numbers go up, but I can't work extra because I can't jump off. So it's just that ever-present thought of knowing that there's a good chance I could have made it work if I just quit, but never having enough money for that to be something that could work, which is, I think, something that a lot of people deal with, especially right now. And right now it's even harder. The reason this is my job right now is because I started in February 2012. That's why it's my job. I would not have it as my job right now. I really don't think so. But
every once in a while I get that question from people. It's like, how do I become a streamer? And I'm like, oh gosh.
Get a time machine. It'd be a lot easier.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
It's
back when both of us started, there was the prevailing advice of it's too saturated, don't bother, or don't pin your hopes and dreams on it.
I was told it was too saturated in 2014.
Yeah.
I was consistently told it was too saturated in 2014. It's 2021. What's the statistic that was going around that the amount of Twitch streamers is doubling every year?
Yes.
It was too saturated in 2014. Can you do it? Absolutely. But the requirements to do it successfully from zero right now are astronomical. You have to bring something completely new. You did not have to do something completely new in 2012. You did not. You had to do it a lot.
You just had to put out a lot of stuff very consistently too. That was kind of the easy in.
Yeah. Everybody always talks about it because the reason it was it's oversaturated, don't put all your eggs in this basket. It's a luck game. People don't become NFL football players. They don't become, you're not going to become a singer on the radio because it's so luck based. And this is the exact same thing. And it wasn't entirely true because it is luck based. But the thing is, if you have a 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000 shot of a video popping off and giving you a good audience, and you upload 5,000 videos, you got 5 hits.
5 of those are gonna pop off. Yeah,
that was my strategy. Just I'm gonna do this in the background every day because for 10 years, almost 10 years now, I've been doing daily videos.
Yeah,
that's a lot of videos. And I get people saying like, you're so lucky. I could start a YouTube channel. Like, why is your YouTube channel doing better than mine? It's like, you have no idea how much time I put into this. I know I'm not the best, but I've done it daily for 10 years.
Yeah.
No, you don't do that with nobody else does that, like, except for a handful of people yet. You know, like, I've been doing it. There's only like a handful of people who've done basically what we do longer than I have. Obviously, I haven't put out as many videos, but just if we're talking sheer percentage of my life, you know, holy moly.
Yeah.
Like, I'm near unmatched with percentage of my life devoted to YouTube. Because I started fairly young too.
Yeah. So. How old are you? Because I know you're younger than me, but not by too much. I'm assuming like 27, 28.
All right. Let's say that's correct. I want to. You know what? I'm going to admit something embarrassing. I don't know my age until I look at the calendar.
Oh.
I think I'm 26.
Oh, really? You're a lot younger than I thought you were.
26 or 27. 27?
Okay. For me, it's easy. I was born in 1990, so it's just like year plus 10. Done.
Yeah. Here, let's see. Let me get the calculator. I'm 27.
Okay. So I was right.
Yeah. It's true. Correct.
Yeah. So, gosh, yeah, if you've been doing this... how long no, because Alexa's 3 years younger. Because I know ultimately by the time we're old, he'll have done slightly more probably. But yeah. I didn't get started until I was out of college. Because I graduated from college and I was like, I have no friends. This sucks. Let's start doing YouTube so I can like maybe make some new friends. Because I was watching. I don't know, like Gassy Mexican and crew, and I'm like, oh man, they look like they're having a lot of fun. That seems like something I could do, you know, make friends with people online and play video games with them.
On my list of notes. Yeah. On my list of notes, Seamus from SSOHPKC, Seamus from the same crew there. He is the along with the League of Legends stuff, like he was my next inspiration as far as like taking it into long form Let's Plays. So very much same crew. Yeah.
So in that case, if you're 27, you started effectively 10 years ago. So you started your channel when you were in college then?
I started my channel at the end of high school.
End of high school. Wow.
Yeah. Like I was still in high school. It must have been like a year or two. Wait. A year. Yeah, end of high school. End of high school.
Okay.
That's probably the best way of saying it.
So well, okay. So I was going to ask this, and I've actually wanted to know this. So you said you went to college. What were you going for? And I assume you didn't make it all the way.
I didn't make it all the way, and it's related to the what I was going for question. The answer to that being, I don't know. I don't know. I was going for the hope that I would figure out why I was going, which is a terrible reason to go to college.
Yeah. Absolutely.
It is so stigmatized to take a year off after high school to figure out why you want to go to college or what you want to go to college for. Oh my God. I wish I did that. It is
incredibly necessary. Yeah.
It's so stigmatized and it's so stupid. Like, I had no idea what I was going for, and it ruined the whole experience. Like, yeah. I took the thing I cared the most about, I took a filmography class, or a cinematography kind of a class, just like a movie study. And I really liked that. And that's about it. I didn't like anything else. I played a lot of League of Legends. I joined the collegiate League of Legends team. I carried our team, and then I quit and went home.
Was it at least a relatively low-cost college while you were kind of...
Here's the thing, and this is... We could get into it more, but I don't... There's another question that that will explain... There's a lot more I can go into here. This is one area where I'll probably avoid some things. My parents were paying for my college, and that led to a lot of guilt.
Yeah.
And made me feel very embarrassed and stupid when I was like, because like it wasn't with malice. I wasn't like, I'm going to go and I'm going to use this time to like have a free excuse to do YouTube with housing, and payment and all that stuff. Like work on my YouTube. That wasn't the intent at all. I genuinely, I wanted to go because I wanted to figure out like, what do I want to do? Like there was the idea of maybe graphic design, maybe psychology, like that kind of one of those type of things. Though, but it's just I wasn't passionate about enough about those, or that just the classes weren't good, and I just liked doing YouTube more, and I didn't like college. Like I hated it. I hated it. I hated the scheduling. I didn't know anybody. I was roommates with one of my friends from high school who, like, we weren't that good of friends, and we really weren't by the end of it. Not because we hated each other or anything, but just because there's just like a lot of like two people who just aren't very social in the same spot. It was just kind of I hated it. To more or less, but yeah, my parents paid for it, so yeah, low cost to me, and it was not like a high cost college anyways, but yeah.
Okay. I once again, I guess going back to topics that I've brought up outside of this, but you are from vaguely the same area that my family is from, and so every once in a while you like mention something, I'm like, I have been there, I know what you're talking about, and so
you would know the place I went. If I told you, you would know.
I'm pretty sure both my parents went to the same place. But possible. Anyway, yeah. So, did you only make it like a year of college before you dropped out, or?
Yeah. I yes, with the caveat that I then did attempt kind of like an online schooling thing with the intent of learning more about starting your own business, which also didn't go well. I cared a little bit more about that, but it didn't go that well either. I just learned that like it just wasn't for me, and by then my stuff was popping off enough that I could tell that with enough kindling, I could get where I wanted it to go. Yeah. So it's like if that kindling wasn't there, like I would have probably been able to invest myself and care more. But it's hard when the amount of hours, more than most jobs or anything, the amount of hours you put into YouTubing and streaming directly often
100%.
is your stats. So what do you do when you're sitting on the couch and you're feeling kind of like you're like, I have, an hour, and it's just like, I'm not feeling great about my stats right now. I have an hour. I could try and recuperate, or maybe this is the hit, like maybe if I go and record this, that's the hit. Or maybe if I record this now, it'll get out ahead of whoever else is going to put it out there or whatever,
Yeah.
All of that. Just like, I gotta do that now because I know that it means stats, which is so taxing.
Yep.
But
so
it made self-directed schooling impossible for me as somebody with already having attention issues.
Yeah. No. Do you actually have like attention issues, or is it just kind of self-inflicted?
Not diagnosed. I know the fact that I have crippling anxiety. Like, I don't think that this is a secret or any. Well, maybe I don't talk about it much. I have medical panic attacks frequently, like not off and on. Like I'm currently at a time where I'm fine, and that is very much related to my anxious nature, and anxiety and attention trying to focus on something is really
absolutely
tough.
Miserable. Yeah.
It's tough. So like could I be diagnosed with something? Yeah, probably. I probably could. I've just never gone in. I know that's why I say attention.
Because it would be expensive and it would just confirm more or less what you already know.
Yeah. And it's just more like, I know I can say attention issues because I know that I have a really hard time paying attention to stuff. And that's enough of a label for me.
Yeah. my hands have to be busy, otherwise I start getting distracted. So I have a sketchbook in front of me that I'm just idly doodling in. Otherwise, I'm just going to start browsing the internet. Even though I know I should be focusing, it's just like my brain and my hands both need to be engaged. They don't always have to be engaged in the same thing, but sometimes they both have to be engaged. Okay. Yeah. So I don't know if this is too personal ? But so with you, leaving college, becoming a YouTuber, how did your family Mom, take that? Yeah, well, because that's something for me. Yeah.
I think this is a really interesting thing, and I think it's a really interesting question for someone who started in 2012 when this definitely wasn't a job, So it's interesting. I've been in the whole experience, the thing that has been very easy is that aspect, in the sense that my parents were never against me doing it. Like, it was never, because I started while I was still living at my parents. Like a year of it or so was I was still living at my parents before I went to college. Then I moved in with Grace right after I dropped out. So, I never went back. But they were totally fine with it. They're like, sure, do that. But it's always the caveat of, like, you have a backup. You have to have it. Like, of course you have to have a backup. And in 2012, of course, that's like, I would be surprised if they didn't think that. It wasn't a job yet. It wasn't. Like, you didn't hear it in the news. Ninja didn't happen. I'm eternally grateful for Ninja, because he's made it much easier for me to say what my job is and people not be like, that's stupid.
Yeah.
I'm grateful for the ease of conversation.
Did you get like a deluge of constant like get a real job comments for a while, and then they've just stopped?
Yeah, it's probably around like 2014, 2015. It spiked around the time that there was a lot of issues with copyright, like more than there are now.
Yeah.
It was at a time where it was very ambiguous. Like, Nintendo had the Nintendo Creators Program. Yep. That happened afterwards, and that it was a time where, like, especially like Warner Brothers, there's just all kinds of game companies that were copywriting everything, and it brought up this discussion of, like, well, it's not a real job. Why should you make any money from this video anyways? So it brought up a lot of that. That I found it spiked around then, where people were like, get a real job. Why do you feel like you should make any money at all? You're just playing a game. So yeah, it spiked around then, and that stopped. But I never got that from my parents. And, well, I never got that from my parents in a direct way, but it was very much like, what are you going to do for a job? Which is not the same thing as saying it's not a real job, but it kind of is, it's, or like when I went full time, it took until I like actually broke down and I literally just told my parents exactly the amount of money I was making, and that it was currently more than I was making at Target, where I think that it really like truly cemented the fact that, like, this is my job, and it can be my job, and it makes me happy. And like, they've been supportive. My dad is incredibly my dad is a fan. Nice. He watches, I know for a fact he's watching all of my Poker Quest videos. He watches, like, often a lot of the Let's Tries, and his favorite things, he does not miss a Wholesome vs. Live. He does not miss one. Yes,
that's adorable.
He sets a timer. He sets a timer for it, and he says he has, like, he's normally a big TV watcher, so he would, it's like, I gotta watch my show, and he says right now he has 2, and the Wholesome vs. Live is one of them.
That is so incredibly wholesome. Holy shit!
And so there's that, and he misses the Parkitect series.
Oh,
I remember I went over to my parents' house, like, when I moved, because I moved back here by my parents, like, recently, and I went to their house and I heard your voice because my dad he watches it on the TV. So I heard your voice, and then I was like, what? And then I heard my voice. I was like, oh, okay. But so he's been like quietly watching my stuff for a long time, but it's really spiked recently. I think the Wholesome vs. Live he just really likes that the wholesomer stuff. So yeah, so they started out, I would not say unsupportive, but like the logical amount of supportive because it wasn't a job.
Yeah.
It was not a job. And then they became more supportive over time. And it was kind of the same thing with Grace, honestly, too. Just kind of like never being against it, but always just like and very logically, we need to make money for rent.
Yeah.
You know?
Rent is expensive.
Keep doing it as long as you can also pay your half, you know?
Yep.
So, yeah. But I don't know. Pretty supportive in the family sense. I told my friends and stuff too, who it varied, you know, because I was still in high school. Some of my high school friends got it, some didn't really. Some of my high school friends were in my earliest videos. A lot of like my early videos were with high school friends who still pop in and out. Like,
oh, that's cool.
2 of them were at my stream on Monday, you know, just for a few seconds, but it's interesting. Like, it's enough. And one of them, an interesting thing, like I've never been, I know this is one of the questions that's not being asked. Like, I've never been noticed or recognized in real life, but the closest thing I had was really interesting. One of my best friends from high school was a huge fan of Rhapsody. And he was a huge fan of Rhapsody, so he was watching his Slay the Spire series as it came out, like every single video. And then all of a sudden he tuned into another video and he heard my voice and he knew it was me. And he found me through Rhapsody in a weird, so which is like kind of a weird scenario there. But so mixed level of support and care. But yeah, definitely no negativity, direct negativity.
Okay. For my parents, all I had to do was tell my mother how many hours people were spending watching my videos. And that was just like the moment where she was just like, all right, you are a time vampire. Do your thing. And that was it.
Definitely. Or always the good old, this is how many, like, I know this number seems small. Imagine it in a baseball diamond, you know, a football stadium, whatever. Like that trick always works. But
my mother was a businesswoman, at least before she became a stay-at-home mom. So whenever I say like, yeah, people are watching for like X number of million hours on a given like monthly basis, she's like, oh, shit, that's a lot. Okay.
Yeah.
So I got
you need
to
stop.
Kind of lucky with that one.
Yeah, stop for a different reason. You're causing a problem.
you were the source of a major degradation in society. Do you does that ever like stick in your head? I assume you've heard like the statistics where like the top job that kids want nowadays is to become like a YouTuber or a Twitch streamer or a professional TikToker or whatever. Does that ever bother you, or you're just kind of like, you know, in X number of years it'll be something else?
Bother me in what way? Like they're coming for my turf, or like
no? Well, I mean,
good luck, kid.
I guess more in terms of like I think as I get older I'm a little bit more conscious about like what I do, so I've been a lot more like eco-conscious about how much do I spend driving in a given week, you know, try and condense that down so I'm only out and about, or switching almost entirely over to vegetarianism, not necessarily because of like I want to be vegetarian, but just because, you know, meat ain't great for me or for the environment. And so
it's true. It's getting easier to be vegetarian too. They're making a lot more solid stuff.
I never have been a sausage person. I thought sausages were the grossest shit ever. And I've just been eating sausage all week because vegetarian sausage is great and goes in like so many things. I don't know.
Yeah. It's a lot better than it used to be, let me tell you that.
Yeah. I talked to my brother about that. He spent his entire college career as a vegetarian, like strict vegetarian. And he has stopped and actually eats a lot more meat now because his girlfriend loves, you know, making all sorts of different Chinese dishes with a lot of meat in it. And conversely, you know, I almost immediately, as soon as he became not vegetarian, I became almost full vegetarian And he's like, you were so spoiled. You know, Impossible Burger didn't exist.
Yeah.
I had to just eat
You
this,
can
like...
get it at fast food places now. It's
I
great.
know. You could go to a burger joint. And, I mean, that's what converted me. I went to an upscale burger joint at Disneyland. And they're just like, yeah, here's an Impossible Burger on the menu. And I'm like, let's try it. It was better than anything else.
That's the thing is, like, I never loved meat. Like, I liked bacon quite a bit, but I never loved meat. And honestly, there's a certain texture of the Impossible Burger where it's like kind of this crispy thing. It's almost like it's more like a treat, like a fast food, like fried thing. It's I don't know. People who don't want to try the Impossible Burger for like reasons like because they're super into meat, it's super cool, whatever, like cool. But you should try it once because honestly, if you like the idea of a crispy meat, like, ooh, baby. It's actually better.
Oh, yeah.
It's one of the few. It's one of the few meat alternatives I prefer to the standard meat. Not all of them. I'm not gonna.
Have you been experimenting with any of the meat alternative bacons that have started to like hit the market?
No,
or no, not really.
Not really. Not really.
We've been doing it all week. I have not had a BLT in 4 years because we used to have BLTs constantly, but then. What we would do is we'd make the BLT and then we'd fry up the bacon and then have a lot of bacon grease. And what do you do with the bacon grease? Throw it out? That's not great. We'd throw in French toast, which would fry up and it would be kind of nice and it would be really tasty with the extra bacon grease in. Problem is, it would sizzle and splash, and so it hit Shell in the wrist and more or less just super second degree, third degree burn up and down her entire forearm, and so I had to swear off bacon. For quite some time as a result of that.
Well,
and so
it's not just limited to fake bacon. There you go, everybody. Bacon kills.
Yeah, bacon is rough. And so we recently went into a grocery store and they had just a whole shelf full of fake bacon. And so now we've been having BLTs like all week. It's so good. I missed it.
Yeah.
And they taste right. The texture isn't quite there and it's not nearly as greasy, but that's probably a plus.
Yeah, it's true. I'll be real. There's a lot of meat I prefer to the meat. Most meat I prefer to the meat alternative, but there's a couple that I think are better.
Okay.
But, yeah.
I don't know.
But we don't need to get into I don't really care to get into the reasons why I'm a vegetarian, and I'm always afraid to talk about it because people are like, "How do you know a vegetarian?" They'll tell you. That's why I never. The only time like. Because I talked about it on my stream on Monday because someone asked, and I realized that the only time nobody would know that I was one unless they've seen me and you are in the same thing, because it seems to come up whenever we're together, but otherwise people probably would never know that I am one. Jonas didn't know.
Really? For me, it's a very kind of intentional thing, a lifestyle change that was fairly drastic, because most people are just raised eating whatever, and so for me, the idea of suddenly becoming vegetarian is kind of exciting because it's such a left turn to what I had been doing that I'm seeking kind of that. I'm not going to say like the confirmation of my own beliefs, but I'm seeking new experiences through other people to kind of share that experience. It's like, if we were both model train collectors and builders, and it turns out you have a secret train dungeon in your basement, and then I find out about that, and I immediately just like flood your inbox with a whole bunch of secret train dungeon, stuff. I think it would be kind of inevitable to have that, well, at least for me, because I love sharing experiences and novelty and weird stuff, and I really just like saying secret train dungeon.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, no, I won't go there. But yes, I like the phrase secret train dungeon.
Yeah.
Trains are I do not have a secret train dungeon, unfortunately. If that was one of your interview questions, I do not have one. You can stop asking. You've been DMing me for weeks.
That's for Orbital. I'll ask him.
Yes, I'm sure.
Because I think out of all of us, it would either be... It'd either be Orbital or like Penta that would have one. But I don't know if I get Penta to actually ever tell me. Let's see. Gosh, what else do we have?
I don't know.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, I'm kind of fully expecting to probably bug you about this in like a year or two and just be like, you want to do round 2? Finish a lot of those other
You don't need to wait a year.
It's true.
But yeah,
I'm trying to do one per month so I can actually like spread it out a little bit. Because if it's just like September, talk to Rito. October, talk to Rito again. I mean, it would work and it would be just as entertaining.
If you have a month off, just poke me up. I'll be in. I have. It's not. It doesn't feel like work to talk about this stuff.
No.
So
that's why I like it so much, because it's just kind of casual. For me, multiplayer in general is not work. I can spend 6 hours
for that stuff.
Yeah, the only exception is Dungeons and Dragons. Every single session, I have said like, maybe I'll play some video games afterwards, and instead I end the stream and then just die in my chair because D&D is just hard, but I like it.
Yeah. It's the amount of work going into it. It's a lot. It's
worth it though.
It's a different type of work for what it's worth, but it's still work.
Okay, let's see. I'm just gonna pick something completely different. What is
throw it at the board.
We talked a lot about Rito origins. What are kind of the Rito? What's the Rito end game? And even beyond that, like what is a show that you would like to do that you have not done or cannot normally justify doing that you'd love to do? And it could be anything. Like for me, it's a cooking show. I'd love to do a cooking show because I don't really know how to cook, and it would be really cool to force myself to learn by turning it into a part of my job. So it's kind of just
make it content. Learn any skill, just make it content. Boom.
I know. Yeah. I mean, that's me for 3D modeling this week. It's just like, I'm going to force myself to learn how to 3D model and then make videos on it so I can justify doing it.
Yeah. End game. And, okay. So there is a couple sections, exit plan, and like a show first of all, one of mine was a cooking show. I think I've talked about this idea too before, like on a Wholesome Verse Live sometime, where I said that I genuinely would like to be sponsored by like HelloFresh because I really like them, and do a show like do it like a Let's Play, where the recipe is the episode, and like turning it into something fun. Like I actually think that sounds like a really fun idea on the topic of the cooking show. But like, let's
play beef stroganoff.
Yes, let's cook, but I don't want to say let's play with beef stroganoff on the internet.
No, let's cook sounds so much better. But I like the idea of that. How many would you practice the recipe beforehand, or would it just be a full blind?
Absolutely not. I do it in my Let's Try series. I am the opposite of Rhapsody. I will turn a game on long enough to make sure that I can literally record it with my software, and then I will go. I like first impressions. I like that. That's my jam. That's what I want to do with that. Also, with the amount of games that I cover, there's no way I could do the rap strats.
No way.
Like, no way in hell. Like, there's literally not time in the week to do 40 hours before I record a game. It's literally just not possible. It's not possible to do 2 for me right now. So it's both like out of necessity and because I genuinely prefer it. I like discovering it with people. Yeah. But exit plan, or it's kind of just, I know we've talked about it in private, and I guess I don't know if we blow the lid off the desires.
I've talked about it in public a couple of times.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Like I would be very interested in like publishing indie games. I would love to do that. And I think I'd be good at it because, would you
rather be a publisher or like one of the PR studios that just does like connecting with influencers and stuff?
It depends. Like, I don't know if I would be that good at that. I don't think I'm great PR. Like, I really don't. So I would maybe be interested in doing that aspect of it, or like I would be interested in doing it, but I'd have to look into it more to see how much it lines up with what I like to do. It's a creative endeavor, but it's a less creative endeavor than I think I'd want. You know? Like, I think I'd be flexing my creative muscles less than I'd want. I'd have to have something else that I'd be doing too. But yeah, being a publisher or something, like in addition to something else, like just being on the hunt for something that I think is going to pop off, and all it really needs is someone to bring it to the public and like just have funding and everything.
Yeah.
Like there's so many hidden games. Like that's my favorite thing to do, is to find a game with 5 reviews on Steam and watch the reviews number go up. Like,
yeah,
I don't care as much about, like, on those videos, if they do well, cool. But like if they do less than normal, but I see the amount of reviews and players for a game skyrocket, nothing makes me happier than that. So
I assume the SNKRX devlog was very validating.
Oh my god. Yeah, the SNKRX devlog, the Astronarch devlog. There's a couple games from Itch. Like I've gotten 4 DMs from developers saying like something along the lines of, this, I didn't know if this could be my job, but something as simple as you making this video secured my job, like more or less. So getting messages like that when I'm doing a job that there's always those resonant things, like we didn't go into depth about those, like it's not a real job, people, but that's, despite the fact that I think that's bizarre and like wrong and stupid, like it's still in the head somewhere. And I feel like I constantly every day have to justify my existence. And I think that's why I like indie games, and I don't cover AAA as much, because it's like, one, I think it's a stupid way to gain growth in 2021, but that's beside the point. 2, I play Call of Duty. I'm benefiting. Call of Duty does not benefit. Not really.
Yeah. Like, they don't care.
The amount that I benefit from that situation is way more than the amount that they would. If the amount, like if I upload a video on Astronarch, it ends up helping Astronarch more than it helps me. It does.
Absolutely.
He's working on a sequel now. Like that game popped off, and it's a cult classic for a lot of people now. It's a lot of people's, like, one of their favorite new roguelikes, and he's working on a sequel now. What was it? It was a game that I love and a pretty successful series for a short amount of time. That helps me. That's game changing. It's life changing potentially for the developer of a game that small. Yeah. So that makes me feel like I'm not scum. It at least makes me not feel crazy. It's like I'm doing something if I can, every day I put out a video on an indie game that people might not see otherwise. If they see it and they go and buy the game, support the game, and it pops off, like, awesome. Like, that's so great. I feel like I'm helping to make jobs instead of just sitting in my room huddled up alone, making money.
Do you so I assume, based on the don't feel like scum comment, you actually do feel kind of weird about YouTubing from a perspective of doing work off of somebody else's work, or is that not as much of it?
It's eternally. It used to bother me more. I've really come to the stance in the year 2021, the year of our Lord 2021. I've come to find that, I think that there is. I genuinely think that there is something. Like there's trace amounts of scum, but if what you're covering is indie games, I think that those entirely get erased. And you can know that for sure by just the mood shift from developers, and especially indie developers. If you find an indie developer that doesn't want a YouTuber to play their game in 2021, show them to me. I have not seen one.
It's a small handful. It's a very small handful.
The only people that I think it's valid for, and there's I don't play these games kind of for that reason, is like really short, like hour-long, completely narrative experiences. I don't cover that stuff. Like how Toby Fox was kind of like, I don't really love that everything is spoiled about Undertale, but like obviously it wouldn't have grown to what it is without YouTube and Twitch. Like it wouldn't have. It just wouldn't.
Oh no, not at all.
But yet I see where he's coming from, and that's like a big part of why I'd never played Undertale on my channel. Like, it's just because I was like, yeah, I do kind of see that. And,
Yeah.
I feel a little bit more
that.
weird about that. I feel a little bit more weird about that where the video can kind of replace the experience. But most games, that's not the case. In indie games, most of the time.
Well, yeah, especially Retobait games. Those are very personal experiences that everybody
entirely.
plays Astronarch differently.
Yeah, exactly. Like roguelikes, and we could get into, of course, the 10-hour discussion about the benefits of roguelikes on YouTube and everything like that. But I was drawn to them because of the fact that they are very different every single time. They episode very well. All of that stuff, because they are different every time, and that's the point. Yeah. So making a video on a roguelike, the viewer, unless it's a seeded run, they're not going to play the same run, and hell, seeded runs make them want to play that run, so it's just I feel any trace amounts of scum I think are worn off in this year, because the amount of benefit that YouTubers and Twitch streamers bring to very small games right now is just
massive.
It's the new way to advertise. It just is.
Yeah. I mean,
it is. There's ifs or buts about it. It's the new way to advertise. If you're not doing it, you're not advertising.
When you have, I guess for me, I have Namco, Bandai, Square Enix, and Microsoft all sending me stuff every once in a while. I'm just like, I don't actually want to cover your games.
But here's the thing. Yeah, if they're sending you stuff, of course I think if they're reaching out, obviously if they're getting value, indie devs are gonna of course they're getting value, of course. But again, I could go on with it forever.
Yeah.
Exit plan. Yeah, there you go. That's my exit plan.
It feels like kind of the idea of being a publisher is such an interesting idea as an exit plan, because that's almost something that you could straight up just do whenever. That'd be the slowest exit plan ever.
Yeah.
I'm gonna start publishing
I'm a slow
games.
Guy. I'm a slow guy. It took me I've been doing YouTube for 10 years, but it's only been my full-time job for 3.
Yeah.
Or 2. Only been my full-time job for 2. I'm a slow guy. So I like the idea of not making commitments until I have to. So starting a slow burn, and then I got banned because I did a video with Orbital and he said something really bad. I guess I have to find a different job. I'm very much a wait until I have to kind of a thing. So, but in a situation like that, where if I could start a slow burn, so a jump off point wouldn't be so scary. Yeah, no, it's an exit plan, but I'd like to hopefully start it before I have to exit. But also game dev, but that's a whole different story. I'd like to make games. I have made games, but they're small and very, very small.
I would love to make games, but I know I could not learn how to program and do everything else that I do. So I desperately need to find somebody that can program for me, but then also has the same work ethic. Because every time I try and do a game jam, for example, I do a shit ton of work, and then I find out that they did made a very basic platform. And I'm like, oh, okay then.
Yeah, but game dev, I'd like to do it. I made a small phone game. I think I guess to make my answer more full, since I think we're still on the same question. The exit plan would be a slow burn out into game publishing or just investing, being an investor, one of the two.
Okay.
And then at my hard cutoff point, where for some reason I can't do YouTube anymore, then at that point, take all the time that I was spending on YouTube and put it into game dev, learning game dev.
Okay.
Or at least relearning game dev. I know how to use Unity. I do.
That would be kind of an interesting show. A wholesome verse slow game jam, a year. 1 year, each of us makes, or together make one cheap, easy, quick, small, nothing game.
Yeah.
That we could almost knock out in a weekend, and then just be well, that was it for the year.
Yeah.
That'd be fun.
Well, when we file the patent for the Wholesome Verse and we start the business account and found Wholesome Co, then we'll start expanding out into the new territories, different shows.
Absolutely.
Have a cooking show for Dane. We'll be good. Yeah. Start our movie company. Why not?
I wonder if
I want
possible.
to do everything.
Yeah. I think it is a bit of a curse being self-employed in a very creative and somewhat freeform job where you're just like, I really could do anything, and with enough effort, I could just integrate it in and probably just do that.
Yep.
So, okay. I'm going to segue into kind of other weird, unrealistic desires. What's a piece of merch that you'd love to like have or sell for Retromation?
I see. This is a thing that's been tough. Well, like besides the basic boring answer of, I do want a line of shirts that are like not typical merchandise. Like they're really nice shirts that you don't look at it and go, oh, that's YouTuber merch. You know, like you're just like, that's a cool shirt. And then you have to like, you ask like, where'd you get that shirt? And you're like, it's actually YouTuber merch. Like besides that, I don't know. It's always something I've had issues with. I don't know what to branch out to for merch, but I've started the Rito cards, obviously, and every single person keeps asking like, well, when are you going to make it physical? And I say, when it wouldn't get me sued. So
I don't think it. Well,
it's
maybe some of the contributions that you got, you'd have to get licensing for.
Yeah. Did I lose it? Nope. Oh, no. My monitor just went black.
Probably just haven't touched your mouse in a while.
I'm too zen. Yeah. I got Polybridge soundtrack on. I'm zen as hell.
I got the Haven soundtrack. That is my kind of just go-to background music. That and the Dust Force soundtrack are like the perfect background things for me.
Love Dust Force.
I hate the game. I can't play it. It's
really?
I'm not that good at platforming. No, I'm so shit at it. Like you can go back and watch my original videos on it, and I'm just like struggling because I could not do commentary and hard platforming.
Oh, I was a number one sucker for especially Melee, Super Smash Brother Melee's break the target mode. And Dust Force. Dust Force is that. Like me and my friend would trade the controller back and forth speed running the break the targets mode in Melee. And
I see.
Dust Force was that. So I loved it.
Okay. I don't know why. Dust Force I think was my first solo series that I ever did. Because I originally started the channel with the express purpose of being kind of like the Game Grumps, but for like a couple and like a guy and a girl. Because I noticed a lot of YouTube was very men oriented, or groups of men with maybe like one woman, and so it'd be kind of nice to do like a duo channel. Unfortunately, then I lost my job, and Shell still had a job, so it's kind of just like, all right, I guess this is a me thing now. I need to figure out solo games. So it was just like, I don't know, Dust Force?
Yeah.
Which was a mistake because I was like just miserable trying to record it, but whatever.
Yeah. It's fun though. But I agree. I mean, I started the second channel with the same idea. Like, there's not a lot of that. There's not a lot of, I had a, for those who don't know, I had a channel that I probably only ran for like a year that I fully intend to get back to, and I know Grace is interested in, where it was Couch Couple, and it was the same pitch, just like what if format of Game Grumps, but completely different people and a couple. Yeah, same concept.
Yeah, I mean, there's kind of an attractive, the idea of like a duo banter channel is really attractive, and there's a lot you can do with it. But time. Yeah. Time. Let's see. Gosh, I'm actually starting to run out of questions. We kind of speed ran the list. I'm trying to think. Well, okay. I guess kind of going back to one of our very original things we were kind of talking about how bloated the market is for Let's Plays and streaming and whatnot. What is a tip other than like, just start now and just be prepared to not succeed or whatever? What's an actual like weird tip that you've never heard anybody else share?
That I've never heard anyone else share?
Okay, I mean, rarely heard, but
I don't know. Here's the thing. Like, I've been doing it for 10 years. And I feel like I feel like I still have to. I feel like I'm looking for tips still. Like, is the thing. I'll be honest. I'll say that. Like, I mean, yeah. The thing you hear, like, there's luck is a huge element. Like, do a lot, obviously. Like, which is not a wild concept or anything. It's either like. I think maybe a more nuanced way of talking about it being, there's a couple options. And it's A, have natural talent and be very, like, either be incredibly good at a game, like practice one specific game and be ready to play that game until you die. Like, call your shot on that. Because that's a good way to get in. But like just do a ton. Just do so much. Or just be naturally incredibly funny, which these are all really tough asks. It's just like... Yeah. It's so hard to give tips for because everything is so niche. Every channel is completely different. A good take for my channel, like you and I have like close-ish channels, and even us, the advice that we would get if we like hired a professional firm would be completely different. Like, if we hired the same firm, we have, in the grand scheme, close channels, and we would be told something completely different. So who am I to sit here and say like something's going to work or not? Like, there's people out there who start their channels brand new, and I'm like, I look at them and I'm like, I don't know why you're growing. I have no freaking clue. Makes no sense. Like, I want tips from them. They're growing really fast. Like, I've been doing this for 10 years, and I'm successful with an asterisk.
Tell me your secrets.
Tell me your secret.
Even yesterday with like you talking about just getting off Reddit for a year, and I was just sitting there being like, how do you do that?
Yeah, changed my life so much better.
Delete the app. I've been on Twitter. I'm suffering from social media withdrawal. I've been on Twitter, like just trying to fill that weird social media heck void, because it takes me half an hour to even want to get out of bed. What the hell do I do in the morning? Clearly I need to read some books or something instead. But
yeah, there's something. There's gonna be some non-work related skill or something that you could mess around with, like learning. I don't know, like I've been trying to learn the piano, like
that's fun.
I mean, like I learned growing up, but I'm trying to relearn it. Like, that's the thing. I've learned a million things. I have one of my biggest strengths that I have, and why I think that what my current direction of my channel is working well, is I have a really good talent of getting pretty good at something very fast and then plateau. But then I plateau.
You plateau hard.
Which is perfect for trying a new game every day. Like I can pick things up. Like, obviously I'll miss some stuff, whatever. I'm a human, like this caused me physical pain. Good. But it's just, all that stuff. I find myself doing that, like plateauing, but it's a strength that I have. I don't know where I was going with this. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Wow. A weakness I have is I trail off.
Lose the train of thought, get sidetracked. My brain I
was really good at the beginning of that sentence, and then I plateaued.
And then you plateaued. I have the same problem when it comes to like competitive games, especially, which is usually why I hate playing them, because my brother was the reverse. He starts bad and gets incredibly good, and so I would have about a week of creaming him in a game, and then I'd never win again.
Yeah.
And it was just like, what's the point? I'll play that week, and then I refuse to play with him again, which is grossly unfair to him. I need to give him that second week to cream me, but
Yeah, but by then it's like, I don't know. I get bored of things so fast that I think that's what does me in. And that's not supposed to be like a I could be great if I wanted to, but it's more of like, I don't know how good I could be. I get bored.
Yeah.
I quit. There's one thing I stick to. It's called YouTube.
On that topic, I guess you were like one of the people that was stuck on a series for so long. I'm
Which
assuming
one?
is it in
Never heard of it.
Well, I mean, you had a couple. You were on Hades for a while, though Hades having a somewhat definitive ending. helps a little bit. Yeah, I guess there's no real question with that. It's honestly nice to see that you've managed to move past that eternal game in a way that, you know, didn't kill your channel. Because I know some people that have like tried to escape Minecraft for some reason, and they just can't.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure there's a million questions that could be centered around it. To make the sentence or the not question clear, my channel blew up from Gungeon. Like, it's like we're talking night and day. Like, I covered it early. Like, I got access to Gungeon a week early, and then it snowballed into being the only thing that people wanted me to play, which was fun to see the stats go up, but sad to be like, okay, here's today's episode of Gungeon, 7,000 views. Here's today's episode of the thing that I feel like playing, 100 views. Yep. Like, we're talking 7,000 to 100. And I have been working for like 6 years. When did Gungeon come out? Like 6 years or something.
Yeah.
To change those numbers. This, like, a couple months ago, I did a co-op Gungeon video with huts, and it was the worst video performance-wise that I put out that day. Like, it's like this thing where you're like, oh, I always have this thing in the back of my head, like, well, what if I come back to Gungeon? Like, what if I come back? Is it going to be like, am I missing out on views because I don't start another Gungeon series? Because I get asked about it a lot. And then I did that, and seeing that made me happy. It made me really happy. That was the first time I was stoked to see a video bomb, because like I had fun doing it, but it's nice to kind of like clear up some what ifs, you know?
Yeah.
Like I'm not the Gungeon guy anymore. I left a comment on one of Northern Lion's video once. I think he was playing Poker Quest, so I mentioned something about it. And in the comments, someone said, it's Retromation, the roguelike deck builder guy. And I had never been so happy to be called the blank guy before, because I've entered a new era since, you know, it's been like a year. I'm like a year clean of Gungeon, so I get asked about it all the time, but like I get asked about every game all the time. You know, like, they're attached to the game I played last week. They're mad that I'm not playing that, you know, and I get that more than I get Gungeon now. So, but yeah, it's nice. It's nice to turn it into a question. Dear Retromation, how does it feel to be free, to not be beholden to one series anymore? And I'll say it feels great. What are the stressors that came with being beholden to one game? Oh, good question. It made me very sad, because it made me feel like people only came to me for a game and not for me.
Yep.
And I hated that feeling. Thank you for asking. It made me feel like doo-doo. Because you see 7,000 for Gungeon, 100 for other game. What are the two constants between the video? Me. I'm the same thing in both. One's doing great, one's doing terrible. That makes me feel like, okay, they're here for game. They're here for game. They're not here for man.
Yep.
So I've been very happy to have the statistics to back up the fact that has changed to an extent. Like, obviously some games do better than others, but less than before. Like, Power Wash Sim didn't do that bad. Yeah. And that's not a roguelike. That's definitely not Gungeon. It is a gun, but
cannot wait until that has co-op. The fact that they teased that is just huge for me.
PvP and PvP. They're adding PvP. It blows my mind. I'm excited. Yeah, I'm looking forward to that for sure. There's a lot I'm looking forward to, and I feel like it's a lot of stuff that I feel like everybody thinks they know what I'm looking forward to, and it's never right. PvP Power Wash Sim, hit me up. We Were Here Forever. That's my number one most anticipated game right now. It ain't no roguelike. It's that.
Oh gosh, I need to play those. Unfortunately, I am like absolutely terrible at teaching other people, and so I was in the guide role, and I was just like trying to figure out how to explain things. I just can't do it. My communication skills. What was that?
For what it's worth, the next game, there's the next game, I think the very next game, they're both roles are the same. There's not like a guide. You're both kind of doing the same thing.
Because I tried doing the first one with Shell and it was rough. That I've always been. It's weird. I went to college with the intention of becoming a teacher, and then I realized very quickly that I would be the worst teacher ever. I just can't do it. If I have a script, I can do it, but if I have to do it live, my brain shuts down, and I'm just like, just do the thing.
Yeah, yeah. That was another skill. This is not supposed to be like at risk of sounding, I'm not trying to like one up. That's one thing that I've been told that I'm really good at, but didn't want to be good at because I hated school so much. I was like, I don't want to be a teacher. I don't want to be good at teaching. But like I always was told, like for board games or anything like that, people would be like, someone would try to explain the game, and they'd be like, "Stop! Just have him do it.
Yeah,
I'll actually learn it." So, but
again,
that wasn't me trying to be like dunk. I'm not trying to dunk you.
No, it's fine. It's not everybody's built for everything. I was trying to teach my family. I think it was called Oath. It's a lot like Root, board game. I was trying to teach my family it, and you could just tell they were zoning out, and my dad got up and left and then came back, and it's like, all right, can you explain it again? And I'm like, no.
Yeah. That's board games. There's some games that just really resist being taught too.
Yeah.
Though.
Oh, absolutely.
So, like even simple games, like I found that, I guess we played it live and we had that experience, but teaching Wingspan is weirdly hard considering how easy it is.
Yeah.
Like something like that. There's some games that are just hard to teach because they're presenting themselves as more complicated than they are. So sometimes it's not your fault. I wouldn't be surprised if you're a better teacher than you think.
Maybe.
It's the kids who are wrong. Everybody you've ever taught is stupid, Wander. You're a genius.
That's
what I'm saying. You don't. Yeah.
All right. Gosh, what else is there? I have one more question. Okay, there we go. I have one more question that I specifically wanted to ask, but I don't know. We could probably end otherwise. So you were talking about seeing other creators and wanting to learn what they did. Rat race mentality. It's something I gotta ask just because, I think it's kind of inevitable within what we do. Do you have that feeling where you see somebody else and there's kind of that lasting resentment? And do you manage that, or is it just not anymore?
Not since I uninstalled my stat plugins for YouTube that let me see other people's stats. That helped a lot, and the fact that I've been able to be full-time steadily for a year helped a lot. When it was the difference between me having to get up every morning and literally throw up because I don't want to go to the truck stop to do my 8-hour shift at 4 a.m. and clean up the trucker bathrooms, it was between that or getting to play video games and making friends and connections. At that point, I'm like, these people are, this person's in my way, they're this Wanderbot boy. I never thought you were called Wanderbot, but this Wander boy, it's not fair. How does he have this much time to get all these videos out and be number one in the rankings? That's not fair. I'm just trying. I'm sitting here working 40 hours a week. I come home and I record this tired, and I get second. Come on, give me a break. Curse this bot.
Was that actually your experience at one point?
Of course, yes. That everybody, one of the big reasons for there's a million reasons for it, but one of the things that why I really thought that the Wholesome Verse was a good idea is it included at members, and this was before I even I had no idea you were going to want to be a part of it at that point. But Rhapsody was very direct competition. He was playing, he was the only person who had a Gungeon series that was matching mine in length. And Alexa was obviously very big in the roguelike sphere too. So the thought of bringing in people that I look at the search rankings and I'm like, oh, they're just, what are they doing? Why are they in first and I'm not? And getting upset about it and just being like, well, the fact that he's oh no, Rhapsody's also doing this series, I add 2 months on to the amount of time I have to work at this job that's destroying me physically and making me not really feel like waking up. Like, add 2 months on, this person is taking this from me, which is obviously false, and they're feeling, similar things. But the wholesome verse, I think, like, conceptually, the idea of taking that and turning it into, like, they're probably feeling similar things. Like, I've gotten in their way too. Like, let's start something where we can, like, not only lose competition, kind of, but, like, gain information. Like, they're no enemy. Like, the amount of benefits that have come from the wholesome verse, for me personally, have been massive.
I've gotten a lot of comments recently from people being like, I found you through Rito, and I'm like, oh, that's actually really nice.
Yeah, like, I've been getting that a lot more, and, like, the longer it goes on, the more I'm getting that. Like, the my percentage shared viewership on Twitch, it's only Wholesomeverse members. There's, like, nobody else. Like, it's the list of the Wholesomeverse is my most watched other people. And that makes me happy. And, like, that makes me think, like, these people, they're moving from place to place. Like, yes, maybe one day they will not watch something of mine, and they will watch it for a good example. Today, we talked about it earlier in the episode, foreshadowing. Let's pretend like there was a story here. You and I uploaded Inscription at the exact same minute today. Like, I don't know if you noticed that. Our Inscription videos that we both went on record in this video earlier saying we were banking on Inscription to go well because we really wanted to play more. It would make us happy to play more. Yeah. We uploaded it the same minute. We are competition. We forced people to decide, if they wanted to watch Inscription and they're subscribed to both of us, we just forced them to pick, like, that's, that's the thing. And yet, there's a very real possibility they're just going to watch both now when they only would watch one. They're like, I liked that. How about the other Wholesomeverse member? How did they feel about it? Or, like, I don't know, maybe one day they'll watch one day they'll watch the other. It's nice to see Twitch chats, like, that are filled with super familiar names, like, popping into any Wholesomeverse chat.
It's so common with me, hey, like, going over to a VAC and then seeing, like, half of my viewers there. And so it's messing with me a little bit. I'm having a bit of a bad month, and one of the reasons why I'm having this bad month is half the streams where I'm, like, really banking on people being there. It's because of VAC is streaming and it has, like, a number of our shared viewers watching him instead. And I'm just like, no, I needed you people. It's fine. Yeah. I do not begrudge him in the slightest, but it's just this kind of, like, weird feeling of, like, oh yeah, there they are. That's where they went.
Yeah. But it's like, so, and that's, like, the Wholesomeverse was kind of a direct, kind of trying to be a Band-Aid on that. For me, I never pitched it. Like, the Wholesomeverse, for anybody who doesn't know, it was my idea. I came up with that concept of it. I basically brought it to Raps because I was like, is this a good idea? And he was like, yeah, totally. Like, would you be interested? Yada, yada, yada. Like, do you want to co-admin the Discord? And we worked on it together from there. And it became a co-run thing from that point. But it came from me. And a big part of it was that, like, I don't like thinking of these people as enemies. Yeah, I hate that. That sucks. Yeah. What if we had a place where we can go and talk about what we like, what's not working, like, talk about the confusing back end stuff that makes no sense about YouTube, that you just hearing other people say what's going on with theirs. It helps a lot and make them not feel like an enemy. They feel like a friend, dare I say.
My latest thing is specifically looking at, like, your videos and even, like, Splattercats, who's not part of the Wholesomeverse, but I'll look at both of you guys and see, like, what have they been playing? Because you guys are a little bit more on the, like, further out games that, might not be out yet or in a demo. So it's like, for me, Rift Wizard's, like, top of my Steam list of just, like, I need to play this when I have a moment. Yeah.
It's great. I really like it. It made me a bit angry, but only because it's good. But yeah, no, it's something that the rat race mentality, and that I'm not going to, like, sit here and say that even when the Wholesomeverse has been a thing, that there's not been moments where I'm like, man, I really wanted to play. I really wanted a series on this game, but right now 3 or 4, like Wander's playing it, Alexa's playing it, and Rhapsody's playing it or something. Like there's no way in hell. Like we are forcing people to split, and I'm like, that's a shame, you know. So there's a lot of situations where sometimes I'll use like I'll much more often use the advanced knowledge of like what is the Wholesomeverse playing to avoid it, you know, because that's just like I don't want to be competition. Like
fair.
But I will use it sometimes, certainly, to be like people who don't know, we have the Wholesomeverse Discord, and there's 2 sections of it. There's the side that everybody can see, and then there's a section of it that is only for the Wholesomeverse members, where we share things. We all gossip about you. No, where we share like new games, stuff like that, things we think are cool. Like I'll certainly take games from the new games category, because people are like, if you're bringing it there, you're like, you're kind of saying, hey, I think this is cool, come check it out. And it's like an invitation to be like, yeah, you know, this might make competition, but I just like this so much. Look at it, it's cool, and that I like that a lot. I really like that element of the group. I think it's great.
Speaking of, I need to post one from last night. Arrival Zero. Yeah, there we go.
I got one too that nobody would ever play if it was not vetted by someone first. I cannot wait to show it off. I will share that one after. There's a video coming. I guess I could say this because this is coming out tomorrow. There's a game called Card Survival Tropical Island. What? And it is it is called Card Survival Tropical Island. It looks like it's made with clip art. It's an incredibly deep survival game that takes place using a deck of cards, and it has like thousands of interactions.
Wow.
Like, I can't. It's so mechanically deep, and it's so funny, and it leads to really, really, like, one of the things I love about a lot of indie games is just like not caring about the graphics for a second and just like honing in on the mechanics. It's why I adore Astronarch. It's why I adore Circadian Dice. This is kind of like that sort of a thing. It's just like, you know what you're getting into. And honestly, you forget about the thing about graphics. You forget about them a lot of times unless they're bonkers. Like, unless they're bonkers, you're going to forget about them in a few hours, you know? Yeah. Unless they blow you away, unless they're Ratchet and Clank on the PS5, you are not going to be thinking about the graphics.
So I actually went back to play the PS4 one that they had done, the kind of like reboot. That game actually looked almost as good. I was actually really blown away. I think it's just Insomniac more than the PS5.
Yeah. No, I mean, totally. With you need a good pilot for a good engine.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
But, Card Survival Tropical Island. It's fun. Stupid fun. I will
have to check it out.
I wish I could, like, if we had an hour, I could tell us the story of how I died 3 days in because I got too depressed because of my seashell necklace, and I sat down with diarrhea for 3 hours, and then I died, and I had a blast. Like, it's
okay.
Great.
I will have to give this a shot. That it looks like butts. It's 100% one of those games where it's like, boy, if you hired an artist to like reskin this game as something really cool looking, I bet this would have done like easily 200 times better.
Yeah, but again, once you get in, it's all about like it's one of those. It's like the classic Rogue thing. It's about how the game plays. That's it. Like Rogue looks worse, and it's very important.
It's true.
Rogue looks terrible. True.
Rogue does. I played it somewhat recently. I was like, gosh, how did I play hundreds of hours of this in college?
Yeah.
I guess I was playing NetHack, but I mean, they're identical visually. All right.
Same thing.
Well, that was a much more wholesome response to the rat race thing. I was afraid of asking it just because I know it's usually a dark place, but I'm glad I did.
I forgot. I am going to kill you.
Oh.
I am going to kill you for your channel. I forgot to say.
So I shouldn't be looking at
Your time
has
come, Wanderbot.
I should not be looking at houses in Minnesota then.
Not if you want to live. No, yeah. It's
you just find out I'm in the Mall of America. Just immediate, most dangerous game.
Yeah. There's a kid. Okay. If we're keeping it wholesome, I'm not going to mention the story about what happened. You probably already know, though.
Oh, all right. Anyway, I at this point I am out of questions for now. I've got more that I could ask, but I think I've asked the most pertinent ones. So I thank you so much for agreeing to do this. I know your schedule is incredibly busy, but it was a ton of fun getting a chat with you. Even though to some degree I think I've asked some of these questions before, now I don't have to feel like I need to ask them when we're playing other games and getting off topic. But I guess before we go,
yeah. Could have gone deep on all those. I just tried to keep going. I went on a million tangents already. I promise I could have taken it much further. All of these could be 2-hour casts. All of these, but you'd pick us out, Mr. Boy.
Before we go, I guess, do you want to plug yourself? Anything? Plug anything.
Plug anything. Okay. Let's see. Card Survival Tropical Island.
Yeah.
It's
check.
Check. Let's see. I mean, you know what? I actually do want to take a moment to say, yeah, play Astronarch, play Card Survival Tropical Island, play Circadian Dice, and more importantly, I'm going to plug the idea of an open mind to everybody. Please, for the next time you play games at all, and it's a new game, and your urge is to be negative, I'm going to plug the idea of trying to find out what you like about it. Just try and find what you like about it before finding out what you hate about it, because it's super easy. Just work on that skill. I'm going to plug that idea. Other than that, my name's Retromation. You can YouTube me. You can Twitch me.
I'll have the links
I'm on
in
Twitter.
the description below. 100%.
There'll be links down below, but RETRO Mediumation. Right. Just Google that. Actually, don't. Retromation. It's how it sounds. You can find. I don't. It's not one of the more complicated ones. Don't have to spell it. But there is no meat in it. My name is vegetarian.
All right. I can tell you that with safe search off, it's mostly fine.
Okay. Well, there you go. It's mostly fine. You know what? That's the plug for my YouTube as well. It's mostly fine. Retromation.
All right. Yeah. Well, thank you all so much for watching, and thank you, Rito, for joining me. We'll see you next time.